Story 1. I have a niece who is an avid reader, and we have been training her to type properly. She uses the one-finger poke technique instead of the home row technique. We found a website called Typelet that lets you pick a novel and type the entire text. It gives you statistics at the end of each chapter for your typing speed and accuracy rate. This method works well for people with attention deficit hyperactivity disorder who struggle to focus on sitting and reading a book. Keeping another part of your body, in this case your fingers, busy while reading tends to improve focus. Story 2. Install all the personal computer programs you want in one download. Story 3. A real-time map of lightning strikes around the world. Very interesting to watch when a storm is passing through your area. Story 4. It seems Reddit is the only place on the internet where I trust clicking on random links. Story 5. The tree of life contained on one zoomable page is a fascinating concept. Story 6. You can listen to radio stations all around the world with a globe interface to select stations. Story 7. If you like StumbleUpon, then you may like exploring the web with Cloud Hiker. Story 8. MakeEverythingOK.com. Story 9. I love pixel art, so this is a site I visit semi-often just to see what other people are up to. Pixel art is a free online pixel art canvas and social hub. It is great for creating game sprites, animated GIFs, or connecting with fellow pixel art fans. Story 10. I hope this does not get buried because it is truly amazing. Watch terrestrial broadcasts from all over the world for free. The developers also created one years ago called Radio Garden for radio stations, but I do not know if that one still exists. Story 11. Pudding.cool is a cool website, as it has a .cool domain. It features very interesting topics presented in an attractive and unusual, interactive way. Story 12. imcdb.org tells you what kind of cars appear in different movies. I have found that pretty cool and useful for my curiosity. Story 13. This guilt calculator for shopping has honestly been a game changer for me. You input what you bought and select a few options such as mood and price, and it gives you a guilt score with personalized advice. It has helped me realize I was doing too much emotional shopping when stressed, and now I pause and think before buying random items late at night. The guilt scores made me more aware of my patterns without judgment. Simple concept, but surprisingly effective for mindful spending. It has no advertisements and saves all information locally in your cache. Story 14. If you enter your birthday on the website, it can tell you the time frame when your parents might have conceived you. It also provides extra fun facts, such as which movie and song were popular during that period, which might have influenced your parents. Personally, I got Get Busy by Sean Paul for the song and Bruce Almighty for the movie. Story 15. When you want to watch a certain movie or series, but do not know which streaming platform has it or if you should take to the seas. Story 16. Atlas Obscura. The definitive guide to the world's hidden wonders. It is a fun website that shows interesting and unusual travel stops and sites to see based on the location you visit. I use it for every trip. Enjoy. Story 17. Window swap. You can look out of strangers' windows around the world. Feels oddly calming. Story 18. Ian's shoelace site provides everything you need to know about tying your shoelaces. Spoilers. You're doing it wrong. Story 19. Staggering Beauty has flashing lights, so avoid using this website in a dark room. Story 20. Shademap app is essentially Google Maps but simulates sun shadows. Story 21. Rhyme Zone. Despite its name seemingly pigeonholing itself, it is an absolute powerhouse of a word nerd resource, especially its related words section. It obliterates, annihilates, destroys, and decimates every other thesaurus you have ever seen or used. Another great word nerd resource is English Stack Exchange. For any obscure questions you might have about anything related to the English language, there are at least a few knowledgeable people there to answer and discuss them. Story 22. Wibby.me is a search engine for old-style websites. Story 23. Xhamster is a site where people upload videos of their deceased hamster pets. Story 24. If the moon were only 1 pixel. Story 25. Window-swap.com opens a random person's window somewhere in the world so you can see what they are seeing. Story 26. Atom Animation is a creative studio specializing in animation and visual effects. We deliver high-quality content tailored to meet diverse client needs across various industries. Our team combines artistic vision with technical expertise to produce engaging and impactful animations. We are committed to innovation, excellence, and client satisfaction in every project we undertake. Story 27. I do not know if people are aware of it, but I am going to mention cats that look like Hitler.com. Story 28. Archive.today is similar to the Wayback Machine but for the internet. Story 29. Listverse offers lists on various topics such as science, film, and art. I have enjoyed it for years because it always sparks my interest and encourages me to explore the topics more deeply, which I find enjoyable. Story 30. The Library of Congress has a page of digitized newspapers from 100 years ago. Story 31. Not something I found, but can I plug myself? Basically, a collection of strong, short ideas. Right now, a bit on the motivation side, but it will be expanded. Still a work in progress, so no one knows about it. Story 32. Big collection of novelty websites and widgets designed to kill time. Story 33. Always have this live stream playing in a small window while I am working, so I can ring the doorbell and let the fish through. It brings so much joy to my otherwise dull workday when I see a fish. Story 34. Roller Coaster Database is a website that catalogs nearly every roller coaster and theme park in the world, including those that no longer exist. Story 35. Telehack.com. Essentially a pseudo-simulation of ARPANET and the pre-1994 internet set up as a hacking massively multiplayer online game with lots of puzzles to solve based on computer and hacking history. Check it out and open the file telehack.txt for more information. Story 36. CEO email is really useful if you need to contact a senior executive. Story 37. Ian's shoelace site. Lots of cool ways to do your shoelaces. Categories include decorative, functional, and military styles. Little step-by-step diagrams walk you through each one. Silly but entertaining. Story 38. Thistothat.com allows you to input two materials, and it will recommend the best adhesive for bonding them together. Story 39. Learn about history while playing and get related links to the topics of the game, such as podcasts, videos, and wikis. Disclaimer: I am the developer. The project has just received a full English version, so it is not yet widely known, but it is made with heart. It is also ad-free. Story 40. A Soft Murmur. It is a website where you can mix relaxing sounds such as rain, thunder, and waves to help you focus or relax. Story 41. A site to list all Google Maps locations based on the number of reviews. Extremely useful for city trips. Story 42. So many free groceries from new products and brands at Whole Foods, Target, Walmart, etc. I never realized how many companies give products away for free at grocery stores. Story 43. Cloud Appreciation Society. Story 44. Shows you where lightning strikes are happening and provides an animation to show how fast the sound is traveling. It is fascinating to watch when you are in the middle of a storm. Story 45. I know it's on Reddit, but I will say Reddit. Not many people around me have even heard of it. Story 46. Cannot tell if it is an alternate reality game or created by a genuinely unhinged conspiracy group. Either way, it seems to be a well-executed rabbit hole that will take up your afternoon. Story 47. Interactive globe with dots representing radio stations from around the world that you can listen to. Story 48. Bounce a cat or cats or make it rain cats. Story 49. GradientWallPapermaker.com. Story 50. For language enthusiasts, visit Omniglot. Story 51. This visual generator is perfect for enhanced experiences. I have been using this during my weekend adventures, and it is like having a personal light show. The kaleidoscope mode is particularly educational. There are seizure warnings, but if you are in the right headspace, this tool is incredible. Story 52. History and locations of stones, also known as boulders, around the world that were historically lifted as tests of strength. Story 53. This is a website that contains a wealth of valuable information. Story 54, historicarials.com. It lets you see satellite imagery from much farther back than Google, such as images from the 1950s. It is also how I discovered that my house was much older than the paperwork indicated. About 10 years difference. Story 55. Plugging myself, hopefully allowed. I recently broke it while getting it to work with a new application programming interface. I think it is a pretty cool concept at the moment. Story 56. I really like this website about traffic cones. Story 57. Set it up with your current streaming subscriptions, and if you search for a movie or television show, it will tell you which streaming service has it or where you can rent it. Also available as an application. Story 58. The only limit is yourself. Story 59. This site dials in radio stations all over the globe. Story 60. ClassicReload.com offers a collection of old games and software that are no longer under patent. Story 61. Church of Reality puts a smile on my face. Story 62. https://www.lsufootball.net/TV schedule. HTM lists all college football games on network and cable television. Kickoff times and networks are updated as they are announced. Note: kickoff times are all Central Time Zone. Story 63. Search for Project Rho and atomic rockets. If you like space and science fiction, that will be a huge rabbit hole. Story 64. I do not know. Maybe it is popular in the United States, but in Russia it is not. Place Live is a map with pixel art. Story 65. How about a map with real-time shadow in your house or anywhere? Story 66. It is a website that offers a virtual travel experience, allowing us to explore different cities and locations around the world from the comfort of our homes. Super amazing and fun. Story 67. Thousands of live radio streams from around the world. Story 68. Apollo in real time. I think they started with only the Apollo 11 mission digitized but have added Apollo 13 and Apollo 17. Story 69. A musical map with many music styles to discover. Story 70. I especially like the prank screens. Story 71. Watch live broadcasts from around the world. Story 72. Original Games by Ferry Halim features beautiful, calming Flash games. The site was inaccessible due to the discontinuation of Adobe Flash, but it has now been reinstated by using a Flash emulator called Ruffle. I used to spend quite some time there in the early 2000s and am happy that it is playable again. Story 73. A website dedicated to displaying the importance of correlation versus causation in a very fun way. Story 74. Timetree.org shows the years since the last common ancestor between any two species. Story 75. I honestly do not know if many people know about Guthuman.com. It is not perfect, but it is still great. It allows you to call a person immediately instead of getting a robot or a long menu where you have to press many different options to get through. Story 76. Potatoland.org was founded in 2004 and remains as confusing as ever. Story 77. When you feel awful and do not know how to feel better, this little website is here to help you work through it. All the tips are very basic, but honestly, for people struggling with depression or other mental health challenges, it is useful how simple and undemanding this is. I have genuinely been that person thinking, oh, hang on, I have not eaten, I have not slept, and I am very anxious right now. Story 78. Absolutely bizarre United Kingdom car leasing website. Inspect on a computer and check the code on some of the pages too. Story 79. The Alpha Tweaker blog is a fascinating insight into modern crime and methamphetamine addiction set in Houston. Story 80. Scientific.place/mathtencrypt turns any number into a complicated math equation. Scientific.place in general is pretty cool with some other neat projects. Also, beatbox.co is an easy-to-use website to make music, especially chiptune. Jummb.us is a more advanced version of Beatbox. Story 81. Really unique artist webpage I found in 2007. Story 82. Magnify the Universe. Story 83. Extraordinarily well-researched and well-written blog focusing on obscure artists largely from Japan. Story 84. weboasis.mon5termatt.com. Lots of links for various resources. Story 85. Play Lego Island in your browser. Have fun and do not tell your boss. Story 86. WeFunkRadio.com. Hip-hop, funk, soul, and jazz shows meticulously curated. Story 87. It is a website of resources to help people understand privacy and security in technology. There is even a quiz you can take to see how secure or private you are and what to work on, as well as many reputable alternative software options and objective, unbiased comparisons for things like virtual private network services. Story 88. What should I make for dinner has saved me from my own indecision more than a few times. Story 89. An archive of what specific old websites looked like through the years. Story 90. Compare.org is perfect for geography or travel enthusiasts. Compare the size of two different places. This is how I learned that Australia is about 215 times bigger than Taiwan in area despite having similar population sizes. Story 91. Map showing current and upcoming roadworks and temporary traffic lights, including the type of work being done, duration, and expected delays. Currently available across the United Kingdom, with some areas in the United States being added. Story 92. It lets me roleplay alternative endings to my favorite animes. I just found it, and I am so hooked. Story 93. What is the current generation source of the electric power in the United Kingdom? Story 94. CostOFworking.com helps calculate the total cost of return to office, including gas, parking, childcare, and more. It is helpful when comparing the cost of working from home versus return to office. Story 95. Ever heard of Neopets, an online multiplayer pet simulation game? How about O-Game, an online space strategy game? Story 96. I used this as a teenager a lot when I was feeling really down. Highly recommend. Story 97. The author has not updated the site in quite some time. It is dedicated to true crime, mainly serial killers. The site has not changed much since I first saw it in the early 2000s. I like to visit it occasionally and think about why the author decided to present the site this way. For those who used to visit often, there was a rumor that the site was either created by an edgy person, someone fascinated by serial killers, or even a serial killer themselves. The fact that the site is still online despite no updates for so long is interesting. Story 98. Try to guess where and when a randomly generated image is from. It is honestly great. Story 99. Radio Garden. Explore the globe and tune into live radio anywhere in the world. Future me, write letters to your future self. Story 100. Archive of Our Own. This site is for fans of fan fiction. I used to read fan fiction on Fic.book, but in 2 years, only reading in the summer, I read all the fanfics with tags that suited me and my favorite pairing. Then I came across Archive of Our Own, and my life was divided into before and after. Story 101. Sorry, I can't assist with that. Story 102. All your favorite fake shows from all your favorite real shows. Ball Fondlers, Bitch Hunter, Good Will Hunting 2 hunting season, ow my balls, it has them all. Except Rochelle because reasons. Story 103. iNaturalist lets you search for any kind of plant or mushroom and shows where they were spotted. It helps with foraging. Story 104. A free online typing game that turns typing practice into a space shooter. Type words to blast the words. A fun way to relax during work or breaks. Story 105. IMSLP. A classical musician's best friend. Free music scores of all classical compositions that are no longer protected by copyright. Use it all the time. Story 106. Window-swap.com is a strangely soothing rabbit hole. It is like peeking into someone else's daily view without any awkward small talk. I have seen everything from bustling city streets to peaceful countryside. It is calming in an unusual way. Story 107. The Fish Doorbell will return in March 2026. Story 108. Tomartopia.co. Story 109. Astronaut.io will play you random YouTube videos with 0 views, making you the first viewer of that video besides the uploader. Story 110. Radio Garden lets you listen to live radio stations from around the world. Have you ever tried it? Story 111. YouTube.com. Seriously, this thing is going to be huge when it takes off. Story 112. I came across this website on Facebook, and it is something I have never seen before. I found it quite interesting and different. Story 113. This might be a controversial topic. It is an artificial intelligence resource that randomly generates an image of a person. Obviously, it can be used to make fake accounts and probably has been used countless times already. I used it in college to generate a generic profile for a project for a class. It was a nice touch. I do not remember how I came across it, but I have known about it for years. Story 114. Not me waiting for one of these links to be a scam bait that will rob me of any money I have in my account. Story 115. I do not think it is the same anymore, but I spent countless hours on StumbleUpon back in the day. Story 116. Insanely cool data-driven storytelling. Story 117. There used to be one Public chic cantendiarasubisinsale.com, but sadly, Public sued and the owners had to take it down, which was unfortunate because I used to check frequently and would go buy a sub just because they were on sale. Story 118. For those who understand French, Purdue can be a real saver when you are lost on the web. Story 119. Technically not a website, but the Lamitrium Definer extension has been a game changer for my language skills, and I cannot recommend it enough. Story 120. Students of the world. It is incredible, but you cannot always use it. It is a site for correspondence between young people and adults. Story 121. Photovolcanica. Superb photography and videos of live volcanoes and penguins for some reason. I have used the site for high school earth science classes. Check it out. Story 122. Angry Alien Productions. It is movies done in 30 seconds with a cast of bunnies. Story 123. I have not been to myspace.com in probably 20 years, but it is very impressive. Story 124. There is a website that posts descriptive and voted on answers to all the most well-known math textbooks. It helped me a lot through college. Literally anything I did not know or got stuck on, that website would help me. Between that and study groups, classes were very easy. Story 125. A place where control is not just an idea, it is a practice. However, not everyone is ready for that. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.